Hey YouTube, this is Seven. I'm doing a series on urban awakening tips, and this is video 3 of the series. I'm going to try to speed this up because it's taking a long time. Okay, so the next tip I have, and basically these are tips to achieve a state of oneness and peacefulness. Joy, peace, happiness, all the things that we seek and never tend to get. And this is just through willpower, determination, faith, dedication, as opposed to extra personal rules. These are more so in personal rules. Okay, so now rule number 5 is will. And this rule is basically the rule that I have used. I have used this rule for years. It's the rule of determination, power, and strength. It's recognizing the power inside of you to create what you can. As human beings, we're naturally co-creators with God. I know that a lot of religious teachings don't teach that, but it is the truth. And the reason why I say that is because the Bible says faith without works is dead. So even though you can have faith in God to accomplish something for you, clearly you're still supposed to get out there and add and work yourself. So as God is creating in heaven, you are creating on earth. For somebody to say I want this and I want that, and sit in their house and expect for it to just fall in their lap and not have any motivation or any determination to do it, the will to co-create is adding the motivation and determination to whatever you're going to do. It is the way you speak. For instance, you turn it into something that I want to do to something that I am going to do. Words are very powerful, and how we create as human beings are with words and thoughts that manifest into words, that manifest into plans, that manifest into creation. You have to get out of the first step, which is I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. You can want, sit down and not do anything about it. A lot of people get stuck in that step. They know what they want. If you tell them, give me your ideal life, they know what their ideal life is. They just don't know how to get there. To saying I'm going to. When you say I'm going to, you're speaking it into existence. You're saying you're now the thought of I want, the desire turns into motivation and I'm going to get this. As co-creators, we have to be careful because our words are so powerful that whatever we speak will manifest itself. We all know those phrases. Say I love you before you leave because you never know the next day you see somebody. Don't ever say I hate somebody. Don't ever wish something bad upon them because it'll happen. As human beings, we all know, even though we don't likely, we kind of leave it as coincidence and as chance that we're not willing to take. So we won't say anything like, I wish that person had died, because we know that words are very powerful. And if that person dies, we're going to feel personally responsible for it. The next one is breaking habits. I have a video series entitled Change and Facilitating Change. If you are stuck in a state of suffering, it gets to a point where it becomes comfortable to be in that state. You're familiar with it. You'll resort back to the behaviors that are in this state of suffering because you've known them for so long. They are your constant companions. Anger, there are people out there that are very angry, and every time there's something that they feel is against their ego or offending their ego, they lash out in anger. And some people actually do it towards everyone around them. This is a habit at this point. And 9 times out of 10, that person does not like being angry. No matter what they tells you, they don't like being angry because being angry makes you feel bad. It makes you mentally feel bad. You have to recognize that's a habit. And to break habits, you have to be aware of your own habits and pay attention to your own habits. Life moves so fast that a lot of times we're busy paying bills, working, putting food on the table, that we forget to take care of ourselves, to slow life down and give us a little me time to reflect, to think about us and what we want to do and what we would like to change. You have to slow down. You have to. You have to slow life down sometimes. Sometimes you have to take a Sabbath day, a day of rest, a day where you are taking care of the God in you. The Sabbath is not all just about worshiping God outside of you or the God in heaven or the God that created you. It's also about making reference to the God that's inside of you. If more people believe that God was inside of them and everything, the liver and the spleen and the blood that flows in them was made of the same material that God was made of, they might take care of their body a little better. They might take care of their brain and their mind and their spirit a little better because they would have the same reverence for themselves that they have for God. And there's nothing wrong with having the same desire to be good to yourself. Being aware of intent is another. Being aware of intent is another tip. And this tip comes from the phrase, God knows my heart. God doesn't judge the sin, he judges the heart. I hear a lot of people say this. And the reality of the situation is, you know what you're going to do before you're going to do it. You know your own intent. You know if you're going to intentionally hurt somebody's feelings because you're upset. You know if your intent, I give you an example of that. Years ago, I got into a lot of trouble trying to help somebody. I wasn't going about helping them the right way, but nevertheless, my desire was to help them. The end result was that I didn't get in as much trouble as I should have, and I was praying. I was praying the whole time, and I wasn't really worried. I wasn't freaking out, and I was in a situation that I should have been crying and peeing on myself. But I knew my intent. At that moment, at that very moment, I completely had trust in the divine mind. I completely had trust in the creator because I knew my intent. It was not a malicious intent, and I relaxed in the spirit. So the next tip is relaxing into the seat of the soul. I talked about this tip before when I was talking about surrendering to God's will. And it's, out of all these tips, this is probably, to me, the most hardest one to do. Because when we feel stress and we feel anger and we feel pain and we feel suffering, it causes stress. The body has a natural reaction to stress. You begin to produce more adrenaline, your heartbeat speeds up, you feel high, you feel flushed. You get all these physiological symptoms that goes along with whatever event is happening that's triggering stress. So to relax in all of this, it's very hard to do. When we are upset, the first thing we want to do is show that emotion. We want to verbalize the emotion, or sometimes we want to bury the emotion. That's the first thing we want to do. When you are in an existence of truly trusting the universe, trusting that everything that is coming to you is for a reason, there's no accidents, there's no mistake, then you know that stress, that physiological symptom is just now habit. You can relax into your trusting of the universe, knowing that the universe is going to carry you through this and take care of you. It's easier said than done because a lot of times we feel alone. Even though we know God is with us, we feel all by ourselves when we're facing something, when something is happening that requires us to fix it. You can pray, God, please help me. God, please help me. But you're not relaxing. You're not like, yeah, I know God's got me. No, because and this seems to me that the older I get, the worse it gets, because I've seen so many bad things happen to good people that the trust is not all the way there. I would like to pray and I would like to trust, but it's not always easy, because you can, your brain will often recall for you a situation where somebody else was in, and the end results were tragic. So it's hard to relax in the seat of the soul. This is something that you can just start to do as habits. Even if you have to do what I tell people to do sometimes, take a notebook and write the tips down of what you need to do in certain situations, just to remind you. I was sharing with a friend of mine about my dream walls and my positive thinking walls, where the things that I want the most right now, which is peace, big letters. I cut out big letters in construction paper and tape it against the wall, so that every time I walk into my bedroom, that's what I see. It keeps a reminder of me, what I'm aiming for. I'm going to stop this video. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, feel free to leave them below, and I will be back with another video.